and welcome to another Veterinary Compassion Project podcast. I'm Dr. Erin Holder, and today I bring to you Lennon Molofsky. Lennon is a certified somatic coach and body worker. He is certified through the Strozzi Institute for Somatics, as well as the International Coaching Federation. Since 2013, he has immersed himself in the field of somatics. In addition to holding a private practice in Petaluma, California, and working with clients virtually on Zoom, Lennon works for the Strozzi Institute as an on-site body worker for participants enrolled in their coursework. Lennon's focus is on helping people learn to live in their bodies to support them in creating the changes they want for themselves. Thank you, Lennon, and welcome to our podcast.
Thank you, Erin.
And the first and most important question today will be, what actually is somatic body work? So I didn't hear about you or hear about this type of healing modality until about a year ago. And so I thought this was some new modality of healing. And when I started researching it, found out it is in fact not very new. It's quite old. And so please tell our listeners or viewers what somatic body work actually is.
Great. Yeah. Well, it's actually very confusing for most of us. And as the field of somatics has really expanded actually over the last couple of decades, it's branched out in all these ways. And so somatics, we hear this word more and more now, and it can mean very different things. And now we have somatic therapy, of course, and I'm a somatic coach and somatic body worker. And so to me, here's my sort of view on it, is that soma means body as a whole. And so in somatics, when I'm working with somebody somatically, I'm really looking at the whole self, the self as a whole. And what I mean by that is, when I'm talking about the self, is that I want to get to know what are their self-narratives, their stories about themselves or about other people or about the world, right? Sort of, we want to start to identify the unconscious or automatic sort of self-narratives that they have about themselves. That's a piece of it, sort of what's going on in the thinking part of us. And then I'm looking at, how do they show up in terms of their moods and emotions? Right? What sort of moods and emotions do they gravitate toward? Which ones sort of come easily to them? Do they tend to walk around with? Which ones are maybe harder to access? And then I'm looking at what's happening in their body. Perhaps the most important part, it being somatics, looking at what's happening in their body. So where do they hold tension? Are they tightened in their stomach, holding their breath up high? Is their jaw or eyes tight or tense when they talk to me? Like, how do they move, sit, stand in their body, in terms of really looking at it through this lens of relaxation, allowing energy, allowing aliveness to move in the body, or sort of squeezing it off, tightening around it. And so we've got narrative, we've got mood, emotion, we've got what's happening in the body. And of course, these are all interconnected. Like, one can't shift without the other shifting. It's a web. But for purposes of conceptualizing, it's easier to distinguish among these domains. And so I'm working with them to identify and get to know how they show up in these different ways. And that's all contrasted with how they want to be different. You know, they're coming to me because there's some change they want to make. There's some way they want to be different in the world. There's a goal they have. And we're going, is how they show up as a self actually congruent with how they want to be different?
For instance, Lennon, like, what are some things like that somebody may come to you, like, how do they want to be different?
Yeah. So, like, for example, say someone comes in and they want to be more open to receiving support. They want to become better at asking for help, or maybe they walk in and we start to go, oh, you sort of walk around with a, I got to do it all alone mentality.
Oh, yeah. I don't know anything about that as a veterinarian.
It's all got to be me. I got to do it all. So right off the bat, we're identifying, okay, self-narrative.
Mhm.
So they come in, yeah, and they're saying, okay, I want to be more open to receiving support. And in our work together, we're going, oh, when they actually move to reach out for support, they start to contract or hold in their belly, or their shoulders tighten, or they hold their breath, right? Asking for support or receiving support is challenging for them. And so there's a contraction in the body that's happening along with that desire to receive support. What we can say here is like, it's going to be harder to receive support when you're in a body that's more contracted or holding in that way. And so fundamentally what we're doing is going, let's take, oh, I want to receive support or receive care from others from being just an idea, just a concept, and really make it into a very granular practice, a very embodied practice where it's like, for example, for this person, their practice might be to start asking for support while noticing what's happening in their shoulders, their belly, their breath, to start softening more in those areas. So open, they're being open, but not, again, not open just as a concept or something they really want as an idea, but actually open in the tissue.
Mm.
So we're aligning what's happening in the body with what it is they want. Yeah.
Perfect. And we find such a separation these days in, I think, every single field I can just think of right off the hand. We want to put into a box our psychology. We want to put into a box our physical. We want to put into a box our emotions when they're all clearly like so intertwined.
Absolutely. And the sort of the upshot here for me, and the thing that I see that I sort of, one of the challenges I run into the most is that we really have this idea, I think, in our society, in our culture at large, that our stress, that the body is just there to like receive the impact of the stress. So like how all these times, right, that I hear people say like, oh, when I get stressed, I really feel it in my gut. Or when I get stressed out, my jaw really gets tight. And like, yes, that can be part of it. But also what we really know is that it's the other way around. The holding, the tightening in the body is generating the stress. The contraction in the body is what's producing this sense of something's wrong, or I have anxiety, or I'm nervous, or I can't handle it, or whatever sort of the narrative is. And
Yeah.
so with somatics, we're really flipping this all in its head to go, what's happening in the body is actually producing and giving way to sort
And
of,
continuing, right? Like keeping it going and going.
yes, yes, that's right. It keeps us sort of stuck in it.
Stuck. Exactly. Yeah. What brought you to this field? This is such a, for me, seems like such a, it's beautiful. And I'll talk about my experience later, but what brought you to this unusual field? Unique.
Yeah,
Unique is a better word. Unique field.
yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, my own history is that I've always been working some sort of anxiety in my life, some level of anxiety. And so 20 years ago or so, I started working on myself in therapy, talk therapy, and I got to a place where it was like I I understood a lot about the way I was intellectually. I understood why I was the way I was, but I wasn't particularly skillful at like shifting out of my anxiety or I like interrupting it. And I certainly wasn't very skillful at like managing what's happening in my body. And so eventually I found my way to somatic bodywork, and I started, of course, as a client there and for many years. And I was really uh, what really stood out to me was how there would be these moments on the table when it was like, oh, like I got this, I'm fine. Like all of a sudden, I was fine, things were fine. And then there'd be other moments in my life when it was like, I was more panicked. I was more anxious. Nothing in the outside world had changed. I was generating these different states. And what I started to notice was like, oh, it feels so different in my body, these different states that I'm in. And so I realized like, oh, okay, in order to work with my anxiety, I have to know more what's going on in my body, be more connected to my body, live more in my body. And so I just sort of became um, mesmerized by the whole field of somatics, somatic bodywork and somatic coaching, and very captivated by it. And started taking courses that led me to the Strozzi Institute, where I've done much of my training. And of course, the guidance of some really important mentors along the way. And this was all happening at the same time that I was ready. I was getting ready to be done with the career that I was in. I was needing a career change. And so eventually it was like, okay, yeah, I want to do this instead.
That is awesome. And there are a couple things that like hit me when you're talking right off the bat. Big things. One is being on the floor of a veterinary profession, being the veterinarian, the technician, the receptionist. We are often living in a sympathetic drive of, fight, flight, or freeze situation. It's very difficult for us to down regulate. And so we talk a lot about that. And the second thing that I think when I hear this is it's also a super mental profession. So we are living in our minds and our brains constantly. We're very not very often in our sympathetic overdrive, living in our brains, able to stop for just a split second and realize genuinely what's happening in our body and what a gift that could be to all of us to try and rebalance.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I hear versions of this from so many people. And it's very common and it's very understandable, given again the line of work that we're talking about. It makes sense. It's not a mystery why that is.
Yeah.
There's very easily this sense that, oh, if I slow down to feel my body, I'll be less productive. Or
Mm.
and I want to challenge that. It's like sometimes when we can learn to slow down 5%, we can actually do more or do just as much anyway. And so, um, it's like, I just took that breath. That was about 3 seconds. You know, I've been doing it enough now that I can sort of do a little mini recentering right there. Where I'm walking to the bathroom to wash my hands. Can I feel my feet on the ground? Can I feel the temperature of the air on my skin? 10, 15 seconds, right? And so these little places throughout the day where we can drop into the body, take a breath, feel what's happening, and find our ways to, like you say, sort of settle or down regulate. Even if it's only a little bit, if we can do that throughout the day, that can have a big impact at the end of the day. Ultimately, we're going, can I get to a place where I can split my attention, where I can be in conversation, talking with you, even from kind of a heady place of like, look, here's what I need you to hear.
Yeah.
Wow, feeling my body. Wow, feeling what's happening in my breathing right now. Am I still in my legs? Am I still connected to the room and the other sights and sounds around me? That's kind of, I think, ultimately sort of where we want to go with somatics is can I be connected in here while staying connected to what's happening out here?
And you have to think that this way of staying connected like that helps you have so much more of a clear mind and a clear focus when you're doing something as important as working in the field of medicine.
Yeah, because it's like if you're operating from that sort of perspective or from that, again, self narrative of I got to go, 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 I can't slow down, it's like others in this space are going to feel that.
Mm.
they're going to feel that kind of energy or that sort of mood from you. How does
Mm,
that impact their healing?
I love that. Because if we are doing that and we are living that way, and I've talked about this before on podcasts, we really can just, our presence can be a healing presence. And what a better way to work with our clients. I mean, of course, it's wonderful to work with our staff and the employees, but what a beautiful way, or for lack of a better word, thing to bring to our clients is that presence of our healing could really affect them and decrease their blood pressure and help them relax a little bit so that they're not so scared when they come to the vet clinic with their beloved animal.
That's right, Aaron. That makes a lot of sense to me, and I totally agree. I have so Richard Strozzi, who founded the Strozzi Institute, he talks about some of his teachers and how, they came from really the healing arts, and they were true healers, and how they had all sorts of techniques and work. They were working with people. They had all sorts of techniques, all sorts of modalities, highly, highly skilled, either as doctors or as healers. But really, it was their presence
Mm.
that that impacted the people they worked with the most. And so, yeah, I totally agree.
And it's all about all these modalities that we talk about in Veterinary Compassion Project. It's all about being in the present, in the moment, in the now, and regulating our sympathetic nervous system to push more towards parasympathetic. We just sort of talk about the same theme. And I bring in all these different modalities because what resonates with someone, what makes them go, okay, that's where I feel safe. Like I feel safe in going to somatic body work. That feels good to me. And that's where I'm going to learn how to be in the here and the now. Meditation feels safe for me. I can do that at home. And that's where I'm going to learn how to be in the here and now, and all these other different modalities. One thing I really enjoyed about your session with you. Some months ago, I came in to see Lennon and said, "Hey, so I don't know. I don't have a problem. Of course, I have plenty of issues that I need to deal with, but I don't have something right now that I want you to help me with. I just want to know like what this is and experience it." And so Lennon was so generous with his time and spent a bit of time with me. And the thing that I took away the most, the thing that generally like just was very deeply affecting to me was when I was on the table and I felt so expansive and I was expanding further and further, and then you would always bring me back to my body. So right when I'd get like, oh, I'm so like fluffy and light and expanding, you're like, boom, come back, connect over and over. And, this was months ago, and still I think about that all the time. I think what a beautiful, and I don't think I've experienced that with any of the other modalities, is that because I'm always feeling like we want to connect to higher, we want to do all that. And I love your grounding.
Well, thank you, Aaron. Yes, yes. I mean, to me, somatics is all about that, just like you say, that grounding, being in the body, feeling our feet on the ground. And so, yes, it's lovely and it's powerful to be, kind of that expanded. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's like, yeah, can we be there, but also, again, be here, not leave the body, not leave sensation. And so again, to me, it's like, yeah, can I be connected out here, but can I also be grounded? Can I also be down here?
And what a gift to our bodies, because in this field, we beat ourselves up. I mean, think about like my horse vet friends, the large animals. Like, this is a physically challenging profession. And what a gift to our body to actually pay attention to it in that way. Where are we carrying? Where are we holding? Because wouldn't you think and agree that in these areas where we're holding things, these would be more susceptible to injuries?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. I mean, just thinking of it from a very sort of biological lens, it's like contraction, tightness, less blood flow, less oxygen, all of that. And the body wants our attention. The body wants us to notice, I believe. And so, yes, I totally agree. It is a gift to give ourselves, to really connect with our body, to really feel our body. Take time, again, like you say, whether it's a meditation, a sitting practice, getting body work, doing something. Yeah.
Lennon, a lot of my listeners don't live near Petaluma, California, and I know that you do some Zoom work. So, would you please just kind of go over like what that would look like to someone who needed your help?
Yeah, yeah, good. So it's going to be a combination of conversation, getting to know, of course, what you'd want out of our sessions. It might be a bit of an educational piece there, and we're going to focus on somatic practices, centering practices. I might at times, ask you to actually organize your room and space so that you can stand up and move around at times. Um, we're going to be doing body work, breath work. It's going to be different because it won't be in person, but I'll be guiding it. You'll be using, your own hands, your own touch, of course, but it can still be very, very powerful. And so body work, breath work, some work with sound. I mean, all of the practices like that we'll be doing are really designed to help us access more of our body, feel our body, open up places of holding, open up places of tightness. The voice, sound, throat, common area of contraction for people. And so, uh, and then we'll be also talking about take-home practices. I mean, this is a big part of my work. Big piece here is like, we know that change requires a commitment to a regular practice, or I could say a daily practice. And so it's vitally important to have practices under your belt to support you with whatever changes you want to make for yourself. Sometimes people come into sessions, whether it's an online session or in person, and again, very understandably, it's like they want some big release. They want to let go of their pain. They want to let go of all their holding, and they're ready for what's new. And that's wonderful. That's great. And sometimes that happens in sessions, and there's profoundly powerful moments in a single session. Yes, that can happen. And what we all know happens is that there's some sort of stress or rupture in our lives the next week, the next day, whatever. And we go back to that holding or that contraction. And so without a foundation of regular practice to come back to ground, to come back to center, it's going to be more challenging. And so that's why a lot of the work we'll be doing together online is also going to be co-designing practices that you can do in the days between our sessions. Yeah.
I love that because there is the one problem that really is a thread that is throughout the veterinary profession, which is we're going to take care of everybody else and we're not going to take care of ourselves. So by co-designing it, then and not being told like you have to do these things every day by any participant being an active you know partner with you and choosing what they can do, I think will bode so much more for success.
Yeah, we want it to be a partnership.
Mhm.
I'll offer suggestions, but I'm not there to do it for you or to tell you what to do. And
And
so,
then there's a check-in, like how often do you like to check back in to make sure that healing or that retraining the body is taking place?
well, this work does take time, I believe, in terms of, somatic development, somatic transformation. Absolutely, it's not meant to be a quick fix. It's meant to be really done over an arc of time. Now, sometimes I'll have a few sessions with someone and they're like, oh, got what I wanted. Great. And it's like, cool, something shifted for them enough. But it's really designed to be done over typically a longer period of time. And so, I'll say I like those first, say, call it 6 to 10 sessions to be grouped together, if not every week, every other week. That's my
Wonderful.
recommendation in general. And then from there, then we sort of feel out what makes sense based on what they want and what's working or not working and all of that. But it's really nice to have a series of sessions spaced fairly close together in the beginning. And then maybe we spread them out more and it becomes more like a check-in. Yeah. Or
And I
two.
feel like we have to say, even though everybody listening already knows this, but I think the more we say it over and over and over, is that when you get true healing, when there's foundational healing, this is not a quick fix. This is a life that you've lived, training your body in certain ways. Your body has become adjusted to this. And so it just seems like we owe it to ourselves to buckle down and actually focus on ourselves so that we don't get the burnout, we don't get the compassion fatigue, and we're able to keep healing the animals, and be healers, for anybody that's around us. And we can't expect to go to the doctor and take a pill and all is going to be well. Like it takes a lot of commitment and a lot of time. And hopefully, with this project, people can start saying, I'm going to start before I hit the wall. Unlike me, who hit the wall, right? Hit the wall, slid down.
Yeah. It's an unfortunate thing about us humans, huh? We tend to just go until we reach a breaking point. And very often we go, why did I wait so long?
Like I feel so great now. I personally am a changed human. I've never been more peaceful. I've never been happier. And I want to just tell everybody, like, find the thing that you need. Like there's a better way of life out there. And it's very hard when people are just sort of set in their ways or not able to I tell this story all the time, but I had the sweetest veterinarian that I was talking to. I said, "Hey, I'm creating veterinary compassion project. I'm so excited about it." And I was like, "Do you want to be a part of it?" And she literally emails me back, "I don't have compassion fatigue. I'm just fine." And I was like, "What the heck?" Not that I want her to have compassion fatigue, but what I want to be able to do is talk openly about it and help people not get it, help people, like especially people starting out in the profession, to have the tools in their tool belt, um, to be okay and to do this job for 30 plus years and not splat on the wall. So I really appreciate what you're doing. And thank you so much for being with us today and talking about your important work in helping people connect to their bodies. I deeply appreciate you and your work, and we will have you listed, as well as just more information about somatic bodywork on our website under our resources page. So thank you, listeners. Thank you, Lennon.
Thank you, Aaron.
All right, and that's a wrap.